What's up, everybody? So I wanted to do a tour of my digital sketchbook. Basically going to be finished rendered pieces that I've done in Procreate. I just usually only see like traditional sketchbook tours, so I want to do a digital one. Although I do love traditional sketchbooks. Okay, so let's jump into it. So this is one of my older pieces, even though I think I did this like probably this fall. So I enjoy this piece because of the limited color palette, and I also don't work, you'll notice in a lot of my art that I don't really work in like lighter color palettes most of the time. I do heavily saturated color palettes. Let's go to the next one. There's about 4 or 5 of these that I would consider I was kind of using a lot of the same techniques, so you'll really notice like a similarity in the style. The next one is this one, this is one of my favorites. I use a lot of that chromatic aberration that Procreate offers, and I had a lot of fun with that. And of course I like the checkered pants. I wanted to work on my flowers. A lot of times when I draw flowers, actually if you go back here, I end up doing something like this, but I wanted to push myself with this piece and actually maybe do some slight shading and rendering and using darks and lights, and yeah, so I think this turned out really nice. Once again, love that it's just a very like limited color palette. Next piece, I recently moved to the desert, and so I wanted to create this like desert witch, and on her like little book it just actually says Book of Desert Secrets, which I thought was really cute. Just a fun one. I like all the gold pieces as well. And then this, I moved to the desert from a place that was very heavily wooded and forested, and I was really into, I didn't actually forage for mushrooms, but I loved to go look for mushrooms. That's the same thing as foraging almost, but I never picked the mushrooms because I'm not very well versed in mushroom foraging. But I loved to go look at them, and of course the Amanita muscaria, I think I'm saying that properly, is kind of the most well-known mushroom, and so I thought it would be really cute to have like a little forest foraging girl. This was a Draw This in Your Style challenge, my version of Annam Draws on Instagram. I think she also has a YouTube. She's probably honestly one of my favorite artists, and I just really enjoy her shapes of the people she draws. I like her movement in her pieces, and then her colors are beautiful as well. But this was one of my favorite pieces I've ever drawn, and yeah, I just love the flow and I love the colors, and of course like I can't take credit for a lot of it because this was from Annam Draws DTIYS, but it taught me a lot about the way I want to render my characters. But let's move on. Next up is Catwoman. I am very into drawing superhero women, because I can't say superwoman because she's actually a person or a superhero. But I really liked drawing this Catwoman specifically. I wanted to give her like a very shiny effect, like she's in a leather suit. I wanted to give her some movement. I wanted her hands, like, I don't know if you can tell, but they're a little extra big, but that's just because I really wanted to like accentuate her like claw-like hands. And I gave her a cute little cat tattoo, which I thought was so sweet. And I was also really experimenting with like the highlights, the highlight colors. So like using this green/yellow, I thought made her pop even more than if I was just to use like, let's say just a white highlight. Next up, this was a drawing challenge from an artist, and I can't remember their name, and I'm so mad about that. I will go ahead and just like throw a little card or link up either somewhere in the video or down below. But this was so fun. I think mine looked, obviously it matches like the characteristics of what they were going for, but their style is so cool and intriguing. Oh, what was their name? Apple, gosh, I can't remember. Anyways, the colors on this was so fun, and like I think my favorite part about this piece that I did was the hair effect. I don't know how I did this, but it looks so good to me. Like sometimes I'll draw things and I'll try it again and again and again, and I can never get it the way I did it that time. But I thought this looked really good, the hair, and then I also thought their hands turned out really good. I don't think this is one of my favorite pieces, but there's certain things in this piece that I just am in love with, and I hope I can replicate those techniques in my other drawings. Okay, this is also a really fun piece. I redrew one of my old works, but this was so fun to see because the other drawing, the original drawing that I redrew this from, I think was maybe 2 years ago, and at the time it was one of my favorite drawings I'd ever done in my entire life. But now it's so cool to just see what I changed, what techniques I use now, what's different, my rendering style. Okay, this piece is also really fun. I struggled a lot with this. So if you went back and looked at my like time lapse of this, you would see me change this drawing like 30 times. I think at one point it was like a bird girl and she was just like a normal skin tone. Maybe at one point there was flowers like around her down here. I can't even remember. I think she had more of a halo. But I ended up landing finally on a color palette that I really liked. I also turned this into a drawing challenge, and it's actually fairly new, so you can definitely still go and do it. I mean, I don't ever put like deadlines on my drawing challenges, but this one I still am getting a lot of entries for, so I think it would be awesome if anybody wants to go try it out. Ultimately, what this ended up reminding me of is when I was a little girl, the grocery stores where I lived had these cake dolls that the birthday cake was the dress of a doll, and so it was the doll was on the top and then the bottom was the cake, but it was her like dress. And so this kind of reminded me of like a futuristic version of that. I think it's mostly just because the shape of the kind of dress shape that you see here. Some people ask me, is this water? Is it a dress? And I don't know. Leave it up to your imagination. That's what I do with my work. None of it really makes sense half the times. I also really wanted to try to create like a pink glowing effect, and I think I accomplished that pretty well. So this is a fun piece too. Okay, so let's talk about this piece. I got a lot of really good feedback on this piece. A lot of people really liked it, but this is probably one of my least favorite drawings I've ever done in my life. I am struggling a lot lately with maybe possibly over rendering a lot of my characters. I don't know, I really enjoy this. I think it's really fun to look at. I think it's really interesting. But for some reason, it's not to my liking. Next up, okay, I was watching The Great, I think is what it was called. It's like that kind of satirical series on Hulu about Catherine the Great and her life. And it's so funny that it's stupid, but it's also really funny. So I was very inspired by like kind of the Victorian costumes, specifically in that show. This was actually a drawing challenge as well. And the second piece you could draw if you wanted, she's like a zombie, which I thought was so cool, but like I was also just not really feeling like that horror side of things, so I just kept it as just the girl with the dress and the flowers. But her work is so cute, and you should definitely go like explore everyone else's drawing challenge they submitted for it as well, because it's all really nice work. Okay, so my next two drawings are actually for a zine I wanted to create, which was going to be called Afterthought Orbit, and I wanted to play with the idea of just very like lightness in this piece, but also just very like distant and small feeling. Next up is also for the zine. This is would be the cover of the zine. This is also one of my favorite pieces I've done. I really like the way I drew her hair. Next up, this was for a prompt in my art group I'm a part of, and it was Crystal Sword. So I drew this girl that has a crystal sword, and I wanted to really play with that glowing effect and also give her eyes like a kind of glowing effect, as if like she has crystal eyes too. And I just noticed I have a mark on that right there. Anyways, I love the way I rendered the nose and the lips on this piece. It's probably one of my favorite face renderings I've done on a piece. Okay, here is, oh my gosh, here's a knight in shining armor. Piece doesn't really stand out too much to me, but I did enjoy drawing it. This was from a drawing challenge, and what do you know? I don't remember who the artist is. This was probably some of my favorite line work that I've done on a piece in a long time. Like, I could just print just the line work out, none of the color, and I would be perfectly fine with it. But then the color was really fun too. This is a Christmas card I designed for the holidays this last December. I just thought it would be really cute to draw a girl that was like dressed as a Christmas tree. Okay, I really enjoyed this piece actually. It's very simple, but I loved the way that I rendered her face. I think I did probably over-render it a lot, but I also really liked the hair in this one too. So it was just like a different style of hair than I normally do. So I did like this a lot. This is a fun one too. I rarely draw my like girls in like an actual scene, which I know this isn't much of a scene, but it's fun. She's floating on a cloud. I really liked her hair and the way I rendered this piece as well. I, at the time, was in love with this piece when I was drawing it, and then now when I go look back at it, I just don't really like it anymore. The only thing I love about it is like the hands with the little flame. I think that's really, really cool. Other than that though, I'm just like not a huge fan of how this one turned out. Same thing, not a huge fan of how this one turned out. I don't really enjoy, like, I don't know what it is about this one. I just like over-rendered to me, and I think I took a long time on it too. So this was supposed to be like a draw this in your style of Daphne from Scooby-Doo. And I don't know, I didn't do her justice, I don't think, so whatever. That's alright though. I learned from all these types of pieces. This one was really fun. I wanted to incorporate some lowish, like moving shapes, and I do like the way that I rendered this. Now that I look back at it, I think proportion wise she's a little funky looking, like her neck is way too long, but other than that I think this is a really fun piece, and I like the color scheme as well. And then this is actually my last piece that I have actually officially finished. This was not too long ago. I think I started this on a TikTok live, which was fun. It's always fun to do those because I think a lot of people that were on the lives with me, they see it, of course, my whole process, and they're like probably expecting it to go a whole nother way, because usually I don't finish them on the lives because it's just like takes a long time. These are like 4 to 5 hour pieces for me. So this one, I think a lot of people were like, whoa, like they loved it, but they were also like, I had no idea that's like the direction you were going with that. But this was really fun. I was trying to play with like lighting. I wanted the, you know, of course the candles to be giving her like a glow. I wanted her to be like, essentially I think of her as like sitting in a very dark room, and the candles are like casting a light on her that is casting a shadow behind her. Like if this was animated, it'd be so cute if like the candles were kind of flickering and then like the shadow was kind of like moving behind her. So if anyone knows how to do that and wants to do it, just let me know. Hit me up. So this is the last one. I'm so happy that you decided to watch, and I hope you have a really good rest of your day, whatever time of day it is for you. And I can't wait to see you in my next video. So thanks for watching. Bye everybody.